Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Time for Book Club.
Time for book club.
It's time for book club.
I like that. That's funny.
So this week we're discussing the first 3 chapters of Kurt Vonnegut's novel Slaughterhouse Five.
Yeah. I guess Mythological Creatures was our episode that we said
off.
We're doing this. Mm-hmm. You know, we're doing our book club, Slaughterhouse 5, chapters 1 through 3, which is like, 66 pages?
71 in my book.
Oh, in your book. Weird.
But each
oh, that's right.
A little bit different.
Yeah, I guess pages are different size.
Yeah.
I just finished it. It was a really good book. A lot different than I thought it was going to be, but not in a bad way. Like, I thought it was going to be more informational than it was, but it ended up being more fictional than it was.
Yeah, it's definitely a nonfiction novel with the idea of a fictional novel with the idea of a nonfiction message.
Yeah.
And even in the first chapter, he discusses his real life experiences in war. So you do get that taste of nonfiction in there.
Yeah, isn't it kind of so to preface a little bit, maybe we should have done this last time, but I guess isn't it, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's a book written by a guy who is writing about a character in the book who writes a book.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a writer writing about a guy who writes a book within a book.
Yeah, it's sort of a fourth wall breaking. I mean, the author directly addresses the reader at multiple points.
That's very true, yeah.
But it's almost like he's writing a book about himself writing the book.
Right. And that was most of chapter 1. Like, not him explaining the whole time, but chapter 1 I feel like was mostly him saying, like, this is what happened, this is how life is, this is what I'm doing currently, I'm going here to meet this person, I just met this person, this is what happened. He's kind of just explaining or setting things up, which makes sense. It's chapter 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what you have to do.
As we see very quickly, I think within chapter 1, if not, then chapter 2 or 3, it's a very nonlinear story. It jumps around a lot. Is it the opening sentence or... sorry, let me flip to the page. Oh, no. No, it's not the opening sentence of the book, but at one point he says, Billy Pilgrim has become unstuck in time.
I remember this, yeah.
Yeah, that sort of gives you the idea. It preludes to we're going to be jumping around from moment to moment. It's not in chronological order.
Which I think actually made it more interesting to read to me, because I think most books, generally speaking, are like, okay, and then this happened, and then this next, and it's just a progression the whole time. Like, this was really weird to me, because I was like, oh, well, now we're in 1972 or something, and it's like, oh, next thing we know, we're back in World War II in a slaughterhouse. It's like, what is going on? But in a good way, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It definitely adds to the story.
Yeah.
And from what I've read online, this nonlinear structure is meant to refer or support Vonnegut's anti-war message in the book.
Okay.
It sort of comes from around the time that the book was written. There were ideas floating around that, well, maybe a novel isn't the best place to promote a message such as anti-war.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not effective.
Do that through nonfiction if you want to do it. But
right.
Yeah.
And Kurt Vonnegut kind of was like, well, you know, I'm gonna make it possible. And he does it through this nonlinear story.
Yeah.
And we're just talking about the first 3 chapters here. That's more of a macro macro.
Yeah, and especially down the road kind of thing in the book. But now, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it like chapter 2 in which it explains his plane crash, like Billy's plane crash?
It may have been.
Not the author's or the narrator, I guess you could say. It's not the narrator's.
Yeah, the narrator is the author, right?
Right.
In this case.
And I think he specifically says within, like, on the first page, like, I changed all the names. Like, all the names are fake. So, which makes sense, right? Because you're not trying to just like write about people, especially some of the things that are in the book of the way people behaved and the way they were as people. You don't want to like just straight up call that person out for who they're being as an individual. Yeah. But it's pretty insane. Like we meant this when we said it last time, like time travel and aliens.
Yep.
Like, and it's definitely portrayed in a way that was different than I would have expected because, you know, I live in 2021. I'm, you know, in my mid-20s, and I'm used to this kind of like specific image of sci-fi and aliens where, you know, I don't know, malicious intent and explosions and like giant machinery and like taking over the planet. But it's a lot different than that. I feel like it's more of a spiritual experience.
It's definitely more metaphysical.
Yeah.
In the sense that, do we actually meet the aliens within the first 3 chapters?
I don't remember. See, here's the problem.
I read the book.
I read the book in 2 weeks because I was just reading it on my lunch break every day, which, side note, reading on your lunch break, great. Because you're not just getting sucked into your phone or any other BS that's going on. You're just reading.
I've been watching some Naruto Shippuden on my lunch break.
On your lunch break. There you go. Exactly, just media ingestion. But
it's
hey,
still reading because it's sub.
Oh, there you go. So like in chapter 2, we pretty much get to where Billy is. It's kind of the whole Three Musketeers thing with him and his other 2 friends that he meets, which aren't really his friends actually at all. They're just 2 dudes, or I guess 2 kids essentially, because pretty much everyone in this book, well, I mean, not really, but everyone Billy associates with more or less when he's in the war is like 17, 18, 20. Like, everyone's very young.
Well, and that's sort of how it was, right?
Right.
I mean,
and that's another point of the book, right? Is like, holy shit. It was kids.
So young.
It was mostly kids who were having to do this killing and be killed and be tortured and torture and all this stuff. It's insane. It's ridiculous. But, you know, I mean, we do get some interesting stuff with, like, Billy's first time travel, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
Which was pretty crazy.
In chapter 3, I just had it. Where did it go?
Where did it go?
I actually quite literally just read it and have now...
Yeah, now lost it.
Now lost the sentence, but it was essentially Billy closed his eyes, and when he opened them back up, he was back
just in another time.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And isn't this, if I believe correctly, if I remember correctly, when there's like maybe I'm like misremembering and I'm like creating this in my head, but wasn't it when he woke up in his house and had that like UFO experience? Or isn't that actually, that's what happens, isn't it? He like wakes up in the middle of the night and has like a trippy, maybe it was something else. I don't remember anymore.
I don't remember what chapter that was in.
Yeah.
But I think I remember what you're referring to.
Yeah.
And from what I remember, it was sort of he went outside and waited.
That's what it was.
He was expecting them.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly if that was in the first 3 chapters.
I believe it was chapter 2, but I could be wrong.
Was it?
I think so.
It's very possible.
Because that's the thing is, like, there are definitely some things that happened in chapter 3 that I was like, I swear that happened, like, halfway through the book.
Yeah.
And it just didn't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, memory is faulty. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, let's see here. We're just flipping through the book quick, so bear with us. Yeah, so Billy falls in with 3 other American soldiers. Yeah, and remember, like, okay, so one of them was a scout, it was the scout boy. What the hell was his name? Man, this is hilarious. We're like, let's talk about these 3 chapters. We don't actually remember shit.
Yeah, I promise the next one will be more on top of the chapters.
I mean, it's kind of weird to think about that we're going to have to go through a couple months of episodes before this book's even done, and we're already having read. I can't speak words. We've already read it.
I'm planning on reading it again because it is a very short book.
Yeah.
It's very easy read.
Man, I just remember Billy continuously repeating, like, just leave me, just let me go. Just, like, let me be here, essentially. Yeah. Which really sucked. As he's just giving up and just kind of wanting to die.
So it was actually chapter 2 that the plane crash happened. Yeah.
And that's when Billy jacks up his head, right?
Yeah.
And he gets real messed up, and he's in the hospital, which, I mean, that whole thing, they explain way more about that near the end of the book, about, like, what happens when he's recovering from that.
Yeah, not to give too many spoilers, but
no.
But that does come back.
Yeah, and it's
rightfully so, I think.
I think it's just pretty insane. The thing I really like just about the book as a whole is so it goes. Yeah. You know, and you're like he says it on like every 2 pages or something. But it's like, yeah, it's just holy shit. Like that's just what happens. Like so it goes. Like that's just what happens. That's just life. Yeah. You know? And it's just this repeating theme.
It's almost as if he's saying there's nothing really to say about a massacre.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. He's like, it just is.
It's just, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which makes me think of something else in the book, but I can't remember if that happened in chapter 1 through 3, but I won't spoil that. But it just, it's really crazy, just everything that happens to Billy. I mean, just even in chapters 2 and 3, like so much happens to him, like the POW shit and everything, and was it Robert Weary having to like give up his shoes to a German, and now he's just wearing, I think it was like really terrible sandals. I think they were like made of wood or something, and his feet are like blistering up, and he's literally bleeding, just trying to walk, but he's bleeding. And it's just insane. It just shows how shitty these people were treated. That moment, that was really funny when, what was it? I can't remember if it was Billy who was like in the bushes, and then the like Germans capture him or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, we got you," and he's like, "Oh shit," and then like tries to get out of the bush, and they're like, "No, stay in there, and we're gonna get a picture as if we just caught you." It's like, that's apparently something that happened a lot back in the day with like cameras, and like when cameras were starting to become a thing, was someone would see something really cool, they'd be like, "Oh, do that again for me," and then they would take the picture, which is really weird to think about. But anyway, I'm just rambling now. I don't know if you have thoughts.
Not really. On the camera point, I think people still do that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That was really cool to do that again. So
yeah,
I got a picture.
Yeah, definitely.
Although nowadays people have cameras literally at the swipe of a finger.
Yeah.
So it's
a lot easier
instant.
to get an image that's authentic and even recapture that image much quicker. But anyway, I mean, either bottom line, chapters 1 through 3 was really the setup of the book being written within the book, the story of the narrator who's writing the book, and we begin our journey of Billy and understanding what his place is in this story to at least some extent, and kind of the beginning of what happens to him and his journey through time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So could have said that within the first 2 minutes, but here we are about 14 in, and you're finally, there's chapters 1 through 3.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Sorry for rambling, but...
Well, that's what a book club is. I
yeah.
I don't know. I've never done one.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Never.
It's an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We should probably give out the next chapters and date. So, we are reading chapters 4 through 7 for August 14th.
So that's 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yes. That will leave us with 8, 9, and 10 for the final. But that won't be for another while.
Yeah. So what do you say, August 14th?
August 14th
is when
Saturday.
Is when the next one of these conversations will be releasing, explaining what else you need to read.
Yes.
You also have probably until the mid or end of September to read this book. So even if you're just tuning in and being like, what the hell are they reading? You've got up until September to finish this shit.
Yeah.
So it's very short, like,
I think,
all things considered.
Yeah, I think it's a very easy read.
That's it. That's it right there. It's an easy read.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very
good book,
casual.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a casual book.
Yeah.
With a less casual message.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of times I was at work and I was just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like sitting there at my desk, like, oh my God, that's horrible. You know?
So, well, thank you for joining us. Chapters 4 through 7 by August 14th. Or just read the whole book, and that works too.